Welcome back to the Webby O'Neill channel. And how are you all feeling on this bank holiday Monday? I'm going to get your thoughts and opinions on how you're feeling shortly, but let us know how you're feeling in the chat below. Also, we're entering the final week of the transfer window in a huge, massive game against Liverpool on the weekend. Plus, we're going to discuss the fallout against Brighton, which I'm sure you'll want to discuss, so get it in the chat. And like I say, how are you feeling after that weekend?
Well, the weekend, anyone who watched the watch-along could see I was angry. But to be honest with you, it was more frustration. I've got over it. The frustration at, conceding again at the end, not getting the point. Every time he seems to make substitutions near the end to get that point, we lose it. So that was the frustration. So it's more frustration. Got over it, slept well, and I've looked at the game again. Couple of mistakes there, poor. But hey,
two terrible mistakes in conceding, especially like you say at the end. And it's something that, let's hope it's not going to be a trend throughout this season, because we've seen enough of it last season, and it's something that Erik, the coaches, need to correct. But it's not Erik in the training sessions and the coaches who were telling the players, especially with the second goal Brighton scored, in how to concede goals like that. They must defend and set up better from set pieces as well. They're like headless chickens at one point.
It was seeing it time and time again. I didn't think I'd see it the way they played in the first half. Yeah. I didn't think I'd see that. But hey, we've got to move on. Look at the mistakes, and they were poor mistakes. Closing down both goals, and Harry Maguire there. The one disappointing thing I thought, really what made me angry, I didn't understand bringing Anthony on. But hey, we'll move on to the Brighton game in a bit.
Yeah, Scott McTominay though, Napoli, looks like Manchester United are looking to shift him on. McTominay, let us know your thoughts and opinions on McTominay, whether you think it's the right move to sell him at all, or at this current time in the transfer window. But yeah, your first thoughts.
Well, United and Napoli have agreed a fee, just over £25 million. But there's a long way to go with this transfer. I'm very surprised that Scott McTominay is contemplating going to Napoli. I didn't see it coming, to be honest with you. As we know, Scott McTominay divides people's opinion. I think he's a good squad player. People out there thinking that he should have been sold a long time ago, he's not good enough and all that. But when I look at Scott McTominay, I think there's one or two players in that Manchester United squad what I would get rid of way before Scott McTominay. There's a couple of players on the pitch on Saturday, which I think are not good enough, and Scott McTominay is good enough to be a squad player, but he does divide opinion. A long way to go. I look at the Harry Maguire transfer saga last year, and it was all about he wanted money. He wanted a loyalty fee being paid, and I think that's what killed that deal going to West Ham. And I think, as I said, a long way to go with this one, because Scott McTominay, youth player, come right through the ranks and everything, he will be looking for a payoff. And I think that might kill it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, not too sure, but I'm sure we'll wait for some more details to come out on that. But let us know your thoughts and opinions on McTominay. And we're just going to dive into the chat on it as well. Jam United says, looks like the biggest club in the world are having to sell an academy player to balance the books. There's only one academy player who should be shown the door. I will read down further in the chat to see who you actually mean and other people's opinions as well. But yeah.
Selling him for the reason to balance the books. The books aren't balanced. It's a long way to go before Man United balance the books. They're that much in debt. I think it's just part of the PSR or whatever they call it, where United have got to sell players to be within a budget. But balance the books, certainly not. But Scott, for me, yeah, apparently the money what Scott goes is going on somebody else. What can you say? There's players there what need moving out and should have been moved out way before Scott McTominay.
Yeah, a lot of people are mentioning Rashford on the back end of Jam United's comments, that it should be Rashford who's shown the door before Scott McTominay. Would you agree with some of them sentiments?
Listen, Marcus Rashford, you would have thought he'd have come back firing, raring to go. He's had a pre-season there, longer than most of the players. You would have thought that you would have seen the enthusiasm, getting stuck right in, being committed and everything. I've not seen that in 2 games. nothing seems to have changed with Marcus Rashford's attitude. Seen him Saturday, for instance, waving his arms about. Didn't really think he put a shift in. And I've got to say, nothing's changed with Marcus Rashford. Very, very disappointing. I don't want to keep going on about Marcus Rashford like most United fans. They want the players to perform and all that. But he's had everything there going for him to come back and light up the Premier League and light up this United side. And it's not there. It just seems same old, same old. To me, Marcus Rashford has got more important things to worry about than actually performing on that pitch for Man United.
I actually heard Rennie Mullerstein earlier on this afternoon saying that Marcus Rashford might need an arm round him. And I don't actually think he's doing Rashford any favours at all by coming out with an opinion like that, because surely he's had more than an arm around him, Marcus Rashford, in these last 12, 18 months, not by just by the manager, but the football club as well. And you look at some of the things he's actually got away with as well, off the pitch.
Listen, I don't know whether you're trying to wind me up, because my blood's boiling when I heard that Rennie Mullenstein talk about putting an arm round Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford has had everything given to him. He's got everything. An arm round him. People have looked after him. People have talked as though, like, this great player, this great dog, you can't drop Marcus Rashford. Put an arm round him. I've just said he's had everything going for him this summer. Long pre-season. He knows off the back of last year he's got to perform. How many times do you put an arm round a player? This player doesn't need an arm round him. He's got everything. And as I've said, to me, he seems more worried about off-field work than doing the work he's paid for on the pitch. And Rennie Mullenstein talking about putting an arm around him, the bloke is a joke coming out with that comment. There are too many people out there, pundits alike, who are just making excuses for Marcus Rashford. The time for excuses are over. The last thing, arm round him, what he needs is a kick up the arse. That's what he needs. Why hasn't he had it? Why is he still carrying on performing in the same way? I just don't get it with Marcus Rashford. To me, he has other things on his mind, and Man United is not the first reason why he gets out of bed every morning. That's how I look at it. Some people might think it's harsh, but how can a player who is regarded by pundits as a great player, right, keep doing the same thing week in, week out, and us fans keep looking at him and just going, what are you doing?
Going against Liverpool on the weekend, though, you expect the energy and the intensity to be a lot higher from Manchester United players because of the game, the rivalry against Liverpool. And we've seen that last season with the players and the results that we got. But do you think that will mask over some of the problems that still exist in this squad and in the first team?
No, when you play Liverpool, you're supposed to raise your game.
Yeah, of course.
But playing for Man United, you should be raising your game every game. Yeah. Every game's a tough game and everything. This is just a bitter rivalry where you will see the fans and everybody get right up for it. The crowd will lift the players and all that. But no, players should be rising for every game, and they don't seem to be doing it. And it's not right that players suddenly turn it on. That's if they can turn it on against Liverpool. Not right at all. They should be rising for every game. Listen, any loss, what we've done there is a fallout, and you would expect an improvement from players. But, you know, against Liverpool, it's a given. But unfortunately, some players can only rise for big games.
As we've seen across the last couple of videos we've done, a lot of people are mentioning now Rashford needs to go onto the bench, be more used as an impact, so to speak, and play Garnacho, Ahmad on the other side. Do you think he'll do that, though, against Liverpool?
He has to. Just because it's Liverpool. I mean, people keep saying, oh, Marcus Rashford can do this, can do that, but he's not doing it. So if you're not doing it, I didn't understand why he was in the team for all that length of time last year, because he wasn't doing it, clearly wasn't doing it. So why should he be in the team against Liverpool? There is no way he should be in the team. No way at all. He has not improved, which you would expect him to improve, given it all the opportunities he's had this summer. So he should be on the bench. And to be perfectly honest with you, United should have really looked at selling him, because he's not improving. Okay? He's not getting out of bed with the first thing on his mind, Manchester United. He's doing other things in his head and in his life. It's not his priority. And to be on wages like that, right, and not have Man United as your first priority, this is my opinion, okay? And a lot of other people out there have got the same opinion. Marcus Rashford, in my opinion, should have been sold a long time ago, especially when you hear that his agent, which is his brother, was talking to PSG. That tells you his head is elsewhere.
I can't remember a game where Ten Hag actually has brought off Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford like at the same time in the same half kind of thing. So what do you think like the mood's like there? And what sort of, do you think he was trying to send a message, Erik Ten Hag, to them two players as well?
No, I don't think he was sending a message. Rashford was quite rightly brought off. Bruno, I was a bit surprised in bringing Bruno off. But, you know, when does he get a rest? He might have just been shoring up the game and it backfired. Things do backfire, but unfortunately, by bringing Bruno off, he's backfired again and again and again. First time he's been brought off. So I've got no criticism of it, okay? I was just like, I was surprised. But then, players do need rest.
Yeah, so would you...
And I know it was only 2 games, but he has had a long summer.
Yeah, out of the first 2 games that we've played, though, is there any players that have really stood out for you in terms of, like, positivity in the performances? For me, I can only really think of Manu at the moment.
Yeah, Manu. Bits, you're only seeing bits from players, and it's understandable. It's early days. I mean, we've got Liverpool at the weekend, and I say to myself, well, hang on a minute, people are going overboard. It's Liverpool, this and that. I don't think they're firing. They beat Ipswich. You would expect to beat Ipswich, okay? Just come up, not a strong side, new to the league. So at the end of the day, I look at it, they beat Brentford. Not a great side. They're at home. You would expect that. Now, they're being lauded as like, oh, Liverpool here and all that. But if Man United would have beat Ipswich and beat Brentford at home, okay, no one would have been going, oh, yeah, we're back, this, that and the other. Calm down, and all that. It would have been. You know, it's only Ipswich and it's only Brentford. But because it's Liverpool, okay, it's like suddenly, hey, this great Liverpool are back. They're going to win the league and all that. We're going to thrash Man United. We're going to thrash Man United. But let me tell you, they won't thrash Man United. They will not thrash Man United at Old Trafford. No chance.
Got to make changes, though, in my opinion,
yes,
going into that Liverpool game. And surely one that he's got to change is by putting a striker in at the starting 11, which is Xerxes.
Well, he's not got to play that false 9.
Yeah.
He's not got to... Listen, he's bought a striker, play him. Just play him. OK? There's no point holding him back. Scored at the Stretford end against Fulham. Play him. I thought he would have played, but he didn't. But I do understand the idea of the false 9, but not the false 9 at home against Liverpool. And when you seen the false 9 against Brighton, I thought the false 9 was working well until Harry Maguire absolutely just bottled out a clearing it. And the full-backs never closed the cross down. So the false 9 was working because we had the possession. Yes, there was only a couple of chances what we had, but that's the idea when you go away against the side what can keep the ball. But the false 9 is not for Sunday against Liverpool. We have to have that striker out there.
Neil Croches with Super Chat, he's asked, would you take Ivan Toney or Rabiot? Well, by the looks of it, with Agati, we're getting him, so I wouldn't take Rabiot now. But Ivan Toney, I mean, if the money's there, you take him all day for me.
Look, if you've got 4 strikers, 3 strikers, can't complain. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? And if the opportunity's there, and if the money's there, and a deal can be done, then why not? I'm not saying he'll solve all the problems, but you want 3 strikers if you can have them. And Manchester United used to have 3, 4 strikers when they were successful. So if he's there and the opportunity's there, yeah, go and get him. Why not?
Something coming on the back end of the Brighton game, I did hear Erik Ten Hag saying there was a small issue, I think, with Mason Mount, and that was why he brought him off. So, I mean, if anyone out there has had any updates on Mason Mount, I mean, where we're going to go with this with Mount? Well,
where we're going to go with this is exactly what I said at the end of last season and throughout the summer about Mason Mount. I think he's a good player, but the problem is I'm not happy with all his injury list, with what's wrong with him. I think there's been a proper cock-up with Mason Mount. And once you get one serious injury and it reoccurs, and then you're suddenly back to fitness, well, what happens is you get another injury based on trying not to avoid the injury on what you've already received. So his body is going through a problem here. He's getting one injury and another injury is being caused because he's trying to avoid the same injury, what he's just been treated for. So I do believe, and I have said it a few times, that Mason Mount, his career path here on an injury, I don't think his body is actually going to stand up for it. That's my personal opinion based on health and how I see people in my life. And he's in serious trouble, I believe, because he was looking good. He was looking fit. He was all over. I didn't think he did anything wrong. I thought against Brighton, against Fulham, I thought his chasing and closing down was perfect. When you seen Mason Mount go off, I thought you actually seen less closing down.
Yeah, I totally agree.
You seen less closing down, which gave them more space, more time and everything. And they were able to come at United more freely because up until they scored that goal, they were closed down.
I mean, Mason Mount is not one of these where he's going to start dribbling past one or two players. He's not a flair player. But I think with the actual intensity of closing people down, pressing their midfield and defence, I think he does that quite well. And he's probably one of the better ones at doing it in this Manchester United squad. Yeah,
he did well in that false nine. But if you take the false nine out and you put a striker on there, then Bruno comes into the midfield. Right? Mason Mount goes out. That is the problem. So people have said about Mason Mount, why did we buy him? We should have bought a striker with that money. And I fully agree. I've always said I don't know where he's going to play. I just don't know where he's going to play. And it seems that there is a major problem that purchasing Mason Mount, where does he fit in this team?
But it's also maybe about competition for places as well and competition for Bruno Fernandes.
Competition for Bruno Fernandes. Erik ten Hag made him captain. United have given him a long-term contract extension. So he's not taking Bruno Fernandes' place because he was made captain. He's going to lead United. That's what they expect for the next few years. So they don't expect to drop Bruno Fernandes and someone take his place. They've just given him an extended contract. So for me, looking at everything, all the moving puzzles, moving pieces, right? He's not taking and was never brought in for Bruno Fernandes' place. So where's he fitting in? I just don't see where he's fitting in.
Jadon Sancho, a lot of speculation and reports coming from Sky Sports News. Let me know if you believe it or not, that Chelsea are interested in Sancho and a possible swap deal with Raheem Sterling.
I've seen people commenting on this, and I've got to say this. I've got to say people have got to be absolutely deluded. Proper, out-and-out deluded if they think that swapping Jadon Sancho for Sterling, right, on the back of his statement, what he released an hour before the first game, whinging and moaning that they're going to get anything different. All you're going to get is another entitled Premier League footballer, rich kid, arrogant. That's how I see it. You're just swapping one problem for another. He's got 3 years of a contract at Chelsea left. Mega money. Sterling coming to Old Trafford? Not for me. This is another entitled footballer who thinks he can just come out and make a statement against the club and disrupt everything an hour before kickoff because he's not in the squad. Well, work harder, son. Work harder for your money. Do the job you paid for, right? And you'd be in the squad. Simple as. Well, obviously, he's not good enough for that squad. Just like Jadon Sancho took all the way down to Brighton and not put in the squad. Now, that would have really upset Jadon Sancho. So these two players, swapping them, deluded 100%. Anyone thinks that's a good idea.
Swapping
in my opinion.
Yeah, swapping one problem for another problem. But if you're looking at how or the way Chelsea have spent money, you wouldn't bet against them maybe putting a bid in before that transfer window shuts for Sancho, do you think?
Well, they're idiots, aren't they?
Only time will tell, really.
No, they're idiots the way they've gone about the transfer business, the way they've done players' contracts and everything like that. It's mental. They've given themselves a problem. There's like 40-odd players there. Manager doesn't even know who the 28th player is, right? I haven't got a clue, okay? Can't even fit in this dressing room. Can't even fit on the same pitch. All these first-team players, okay? He's working with a small squad of about 20-odd, right? They just can't fit in. I don't understand Chelsea the way they run. If Manchester United had gone out and done all that, they would be slaughtered every minute of the day, and Chelsea are getting away with it, and they won. They beat Wolves, a poor Wolves side. Now, everyone's talking about them as, oh, they're great. Well, they're not great. They're in and out, in and out. No one knows what's going on there.
Did you expect any outgoings though from Manchester United this week? You know, you've still got the likes of Hannibal in there, rumours around maybe possibly going to Burnley. Lindelof, I know he's injured, but, you know, players like that, do you expect to be shifted on?
Well, with Lindelof, there was a comment on social media from Lindelof's missus. Bags are packed.
Yeah, she said, here we go or something.
Yeah, here we go. So
she knows what she's doing there, though, don't she?
Of course she does. Of course. She's a woman, isn't she? They know what they're doing. But, no, Lindelof looks as though he might be on his way. A last-minute deal there. Scott McTominay, obviously. I still think there's a long way to go with that. Sancho, I don't think he's going anywhere. I honestly don't.
That's just going to cause more problems, though. With the way he's been left out of the squad in the first 2 games, if Sancho's still here, you can only see more problems arising for the rest of the season there, surely.
I'll rephrase that. I don't think anyone out there is going to be buying Jadon Sancho. I think that what could possibly happen is a late loan move for the year. United don't want that. They've stated that loads of times. Why, I don't know. Just get him out, okay? But it looks like United will have to pay a lot of his wages anyway, wherever he goes. Juventus talk about him wanting to loan him with an option and all that. That I can't see that. I just think a loan move, Jadon Sancho out there. But I'm not too sure, because Jadon Sancho, after being driven all the way down to Brighton and then not even on the bench, you know what he's like. You know, he sticks to his guns and that. He doesn't care. He might just go like that. No, I'm staying here. I'm quite happy.
Yeah, just thought I'd go through a little bit of the news. Obviously, the fallout from the weekend. Looking ahead as well to that Liverpool game. Thanks for everyone for joining us, getting involved in the chat. Continue the conversation, please, as well, and get involved in the comments below and help support the channel by smashing that like button. And we'll be back tomorrow with another video. You enjoy the rest of your day, everyone, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.